Hello, welcome to Star Wars Spelt Out. This is your host, Josh Chapman speaking, and we're continuing our season of bringing in the big guns. We had a big gun last week. We've got a bigger gun this week, arguably, and the week before that we had a big gun as well. You know him as the man who launched 1,000 podcasts. He's a comedian, he's a writer, he's a merchandiser, he's a retailer, he's a shill. He's Steele Saunders. How you going, mate?
Hey, Joshua. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm doing the breakfast shift over here. So I've got my it's 9 a.m. in Australia, and Steele's over, excuse me, Steele's over in LA. So he's in the afternoon shift. So I've got my cup of tea here, and yeah, I'm in my little studio. It's all going pretty well. How about you?
Delightful. It's Friday afternoon, and I've just, as I was just telling you before we started recording, just endured about 2.5 hours of technical difficulties with Hawes at Blue Harvest. We were trying to record this video thing, and wow, we just had to go, let's just do it next week, because it tore us. We were lesser men by the end of the whole ordeal. So when your voice wasn't coming through before, I was like, I'm just that. Nah.
I'm at my wit's end, and I feel like Hawes is probably the most patient man on the earth as well. And if his patience is being tested, something's going wrong.
He was he's like in Alabama, like in the corner of his bathroom, shaking in the fetal position right now.
It's like, I just can't take it anymore. I'm a pretty patient guy, but I just can't take it anymore, Steele.
Yeah, he blamed himself for Skype, I believe.
No.
So
no, don't do that, Hawes. We love Hawes. He's coming on soon. We've had messages. He's getting him on. So basically, I've been asked probably about you more than any other guest. People know that we've collaborated, or we've done little video stuff together, and we know each other a bit, and so people have said, "Oh, you're doing a podcast, you're gonna get Steele on," and I've always wanted to get you on, but it was also a matter of I wanted to make sure that I stuck with it. It was something that I didn't want to bring you on the second episode and then give up 2 episodes later. I wanted to make sure that we got we're 20 episodes in now before I started calling in favors for podcasters. So
I feel like I might owe you a few favors, but you didn't even ask me to come on the show. That's the annoying thing. I saw Josh was tweeting he was lonely and he wanted someone to podcast with over the weekend, and I'm like, I'm right here. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I
mean on the other side of the planet. But
I was going to wait till because we were at 20. I was almost going to wait till 25, and then I thought, the bad motivators do the 25, and then I had Tracy Gardner on the other day as well. So I got Tracy, and I just thought, how do you top getting Tracy on? Does he get another big name as well? So I was always going to ask, but I just thought I'd just wait till I got nicely settled and got into a nice little groove and things. So. How I used to sort of kick this off now, I know your podcast, you have a sort of standard questions. I only have one question that I kick off with, which is, how are you feeling about Star Wars at the moment, Steele?
Oh, wow. I feel like I should lie down to answer this one.
Oh, that's why it's a good one.
Yeah, I was not ready for that. I'm good. The only thing the worst thing about Star Wars is like people that don't like it. So, yeah. But apart from that, like I don't agree with everything, and stuff I would do differently, but like it's fine. Like if they did it all exactly how I wanted to, I'd be suspicious
that someone was bugging your house.
Yeah, and then I'd have to change my name to Brian Young. So. Yeah, he's Brian. Everyone, if people are misinterpreting me, Brian's a good friend of mine, but he does. His theory is that they are making it for him. That's how much he likes it all so much that he feels like it is made for him.
It's a nice place to be in, isn't it? It's just to think that everything's going your way. I don't know whether I think Force Awakens played out pretty much everything that I wanted to. Probably not. I wanted more Luke Skywalker, but. Certainly Last Jedi didn't, and I mean that's the argument really. It's an exercise in. I've said this the last few episodes, an exercise in subverting expectations, but that's what I think will give the movie legs in the long term.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Like there's so many people upset that they didn't get what they wanted. And like, if it was so obvious, like, should you do it then? Like I've been thinking about that. Just if it's like the
Yeah,
most obvious thing, like the Marvel films seem to really do the most obvious thing, and everyone loves that. Or, like people that want to see what they want to see happen in a film happen, like, love that. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
There's
Have you
this.
seen Infinity War?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because I mean, like the end, like people go, "Oh my god, the end of the Infinity War! It's so shocking." It's like, well, it was in the comic. People knew it was coming. Anybody who'd read the comic knew that it was coming. So it wasn't, although it is shocking to an audience, it's that thing of the people who considered themselves schooled on it knew that it was coming anyway. So it wasn't as if Thanos snapped his fingers and everybody's hair fell out and that was the end of the movie and everybody got angry because it wasn't what they thought.
Yeah, because I've never read a superhero comic before, ever. And what's that noise?
Oh, that was just me putting the lid back on my water bottle. Sorry, I'm not as professional as you. I just finished a cup of tea.
That is more musical instrument than water bottle.
I do have my guitar over in the corner. I'll spare you. I'll spare you from that.
Yeah. Chill out, David Brent. But yeah, so I have never read any of the comics, but I remember Jeremy. What's Jeremy's surname? The Manto Bite. Jeremy Conrad.
Mm.
He sort of like reports on Marvel stuff and that, and he like tweeted a picture of Thanos doing that click thing from a comic and saying, like it better end like, or something about the movie ending like that. Yeah. And I'm like, oh yeah, whatever. And then I go see the movie and I'm like, oh my God, it ended exactly how he said. And so I message him. I'm like, oh, is that like, did everyone know it was going to end like that? And he's like, yeah, pretty much. Like it would have been, yeah. So it's strange how people are sort of fine with that. And I guess the things to think about is who ends up surviving and stuff.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's that sort of shocking. It's that elastic band reality, It's I remember they're talking. I used to watch the Simpsons DVDs, and they talk about the commentaries, and they talk about the elastic band reality. That no matter what the Simpsons went through, the next episode, everything would be kind of back. It'd snap back to normal for the next one. There weren't so many repercussions. I think there'll be some repercussions in it, but whoever's out of contract, whoever doesn't want to come back anymore, won't turn up, and everybody else will move on without them. But
that's what I liked about Star Wars stuff in the 90s, like when I sort of got into all the EU and stuff, that it was what happened at the end of the episode mattered for the next one. Like I was quite tantalized by that if I read it all, there'd be this like universe that would get made and I could follow like the paths of these characters and them mentioning other things that happened and all that stuff. I remember like that very much appealed to me, just that concept. I think that got me way more into it than, which I think like Star Trek books, I could be wrong, but they kind of just, they don't add anything.
They kind of end up where they kind of finish where they started, sort of thing, every time.
Yeah, they just end up in hyperspace again, going to the next planet or light speed. Is that what it's called in? No, what's it called? Warp. In Warp.
Yeah, Warp. I'm not. Yeah, you're asking the wrong guy. I know a little bit. I know the movies. That's about it. Well, it's funny because you're famously a Luke guy. You're a big Luke guy. I'm a Luke guy as well, but maybe not as much as you are. And
not a competition, Joshua.
No, it's not a competition. And, with Luke dying at the end of Last Jedi, it's kind of an interesting place he's in now, because death is not the end, as we know in Star Wars, especially for Jedis. And we've also got we've got so much more Luke Skywalker content to fill up, even with his death.
Yeah, I kind of like when people complain that they didn't get to see him do stuff. I kind of I see where they're coming from. Like I don't think like I'm fine with it, but like I'm like, oh, if that's your taste. Do you know what I mean? Just like
Yeah.
someone like I can comprehend that someone likes strawberry thick shakes when I'd rather a mocha coffee one. I can comprehend that, but I kind of think they had to get like him out of the way in like I sort of think that him and Snoke going in this film, like they can get down to business a bit more with the like the remaining characters straight away.
It's like removing the safety net, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you sort of know, like Snoke, you know, it sort of seemed like something would have to happen to him. And now you've got it out of the way rather than it like really mirroring Return of the Jedi a bit too much. And you've sort of got a bit of Return of the Jedi out of the way, like, you know, for this trilogy. And I think in retrospect, without the fact that you didn't, I don't know, like, I guess you didn't see, I don't know if you're meant to count Luke at the end as like, that was his, I've got an issue with, like, I've got a hurdle to jump with that because he wasn't there. So I sort of sway on how much it, like, does it count or not? He
wasn't like, on the planet, you mean?
Yeah, and not in a, just in a, you know, a silly nerd checklist way.
Yeah.
I sort of have to think about when you first saw it, like when I first saw the movie, Luke Skywalker was there.
Yeah, that's right.
Until he got like shafted. And then I went into just dizzying confusion about what was going on.
And you saw it at the Disney, like you were, standing up in your seat, looking around, going, "Who's responsible for this?"
Oh wait, what was I thinking? So he got stabbed. Oh yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was kind of thinking about this the other day about, like, I always marvel at how the start of The Last Jedi tells you what happens at the end. And like with Luke saying, "How do you want me just to stand in front of the entire First Order with a laser sword?" and how
fix everything, yeah.
And like Rey saying that, you know, the galaxy needs a myth or a hero, whatever the line is. And that's sort of what happens at the end with the Broom Boy. But it's really cool. Like, people get really upset when like something new's like put in and it's not established. Like, do you know what I mean? Just like a new power, you know, like say for me, like R2-D2 and the jetpacks. It's like,
yeah,
like it doesn't sort of fit in with anything else.
It's almost more annoying because it's contradicting a predetermined R2-D2 that never had them before, and it's always sort of a George like, oh well, they just got shotted out when he fell off the thing, and he's very, George just completely retcons himself. If somebody asks him the question at a meeting table sometime. Yeah,
and I guess the canon is it got installed after the Phantom Menace, because why didn't he use it for any, like, in there at all, sort of thing?
Just in that little window.
Yeah. But like with that whole, the projecting of Rey and Kylo through the whole movie, like it is set up like that, like they do spend 2.5 hours like telling you this power exists. And
yeah, that's right.
There's also that line that Kylo said about, oh, this can't be you, or it would, that would kill you. Yeah. Like, it's too much of power. So I really, I think that's really, really cool, the way that whole thing, how they set it up like that. And the weird thing is, I can never grasp the thought process that you just can't see why he did it, or why they, like, it's like, yeah, that's not your preference, but can't you see why that was his preference?
As in, like, to come back or to walk away, or both?
Oh, no, I'm talking about Rian Johnson, sorry.
Oh, Rian Johnson. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I think it makes perfect sense. And one of the funny things, like, I've had sort of on the podcast, I've got, friends and family just to come on and so on. And I had my cousin Glyn on a few weeks ago, and I brought this up when I was talking to Tracy as well, that he is the guy who got me into Star Wars. He's he was a couple of years older, and he loved Star Wars. He loved Force Awakens, and he did not jive with Last Jedi at all. And we sat down and I recorded the podcast, and it was like, just the story just did not, I didn't walk out of it feeling like I'd felt watching other Star Wars movies. But it's such a film that demands rewatching, because all those little things that you kind of go, oh, that's weird, that doesn't make sense, why is that happening? They're actually all explained in the film, but you've really got to go back and look over and over and find the little bits that Rian Johnson's, because he's really, really thought it out.
Yeah, and that's sort of what, like, those reasons, like, if you don't like something that happens in the film and it's like, it doesn't make sense, the plot hole, it's mentioned in this. And so many people I talk to, they just ignore that, like, because they don't like the reason, they ignore the explanation, sort of thing. That's what I sort of mean. What I was sort of talking about with just not being able to see why, like, even though it's not like, even though I'm ordering like beef tacos, I understand why my wife's ordering chicken ones. Like, do you know what I mean? It's
because she's pregnant and she'll eat whatever she likes, and you need to shut up.
Dude, we are eating like I swear to God, at least minimum 4 out of 7 like dinners a week are tacos. She's obsessed. I make a very good taco. I do have to confess, and when you think about it with a taco, I'm bringing it back, Josh. Don't worry, I'm bringing it back.
No, dude, it's all good.
Star Wars and tacos are very similar, Josh, because it's so many things that you like and that are good for you, and it's all in one bite. So in a taco, you've got like the shell, which I don't think is that good, but you've got the meat or the soy-based product, whatever your choice is, beans maybe, but you've got that bit. And then you've got the bit of cheese, a bit of hot sauce, and some lettuce and some tomato. And they're all good things, and together it's a beautiful bite. And like Star Wars has got like space and future stuff and past stuff and like cowboys and Indians and like swashbuckling, and it's all in one little bite. And it's got a nice like moral message and stuff. So, yeah. So if
you buy tacos at the right time of year, they'll have a picture of Star Wars on the side of the box, most likely as well too.
Really?
They must have Star Wars branded tacos, are there? There must be somewhere.
I don't know. I think in the prequels, Taco Bell used to be
they were, yep.
Yeah, because I remember it was a real annoyance when it was a Taco Bell thing because we didn't have it in Australia.
No, but it was KFC for the prequels, because I had a mate who managed the KFC in Ashburton, I think it was. And
no, you're right and wrong.
Am I?
It was the I can't remember what the company's called, but they own Pepsi. They own Pepsi, Pizza Hut, KFC, and Taco Bell. So they were all run on Star Wars.
Yeah, right. Because I got they had these big episode 1 posters in the KFC, and I said, can I have one of those when, the thing's done? So I had this big poster in my, like, a sort of floor to ceiling, about a meter wide, probably, 3 or 4 meters high, of Qui-Gon and Watto and a couple other people on it. It hung in my bedroom and smelt like chicken.
Dude,
yeah.
I ate so much KFC in 1999. It was crazy.
Just to get those little things.
Oh, and I remember they at the skywalking meetings, sorry. Sometimes people they'd be selling them in the auction, like the polo shirts that the employees wore, and they always made me itchy because I just thought about all the oil that would be like around those, like just. But like,
you worked at fast food, didn't you, for a while? So you've seen behind the curtain as well. So.
Well, not really. Like yes, I did. I worked at McDonald's, but there's nothing there to see. Do you know what I mean? like at KFC, I think they actually have to do stuff, like they have to prepare bits of chicken.
Yeah. I had mates who worked there, and they said that they had to do that. Well, in '99, they used to have those little when Lay's chips were out, and they used to have the little tokens or cards. I mean, I ate
Tarzos,
bags.
bro.
Yeah, it was the Tarzos. That's their back. Elf's back in pog form. Tarzos,
yeah, in America they were pogs.
Yes, yeah. So I ate bags of Lay's chips in '99. So yeah.
Yeah, they had you get the little Tarzos or the pogs that would, the reflective ones that would like the lightsaber would ignite or whatever, and then they had that like stamp album that you'd put them in.
God,
remember you get that like photo album sort of thing, and it would have inside there'd be all plastic little envelopes,
little sleeves and things.
Yeah. And and they had the sheets behind them to show which one should go in, like to remind you of the things that are missing out of your life. Which
that's right. How many more bags of chips you have to buy?
Yeah, all the bags of chips that are in the way of your happiness.
So you touched on it just briefly. I've got a pregnant woman in my house as well. So
oh my God,
we've got that coming, number 2 coming around. But you've managed to actually time this pretty well, because you managed to have a child in between the biggest gap between Star Wars movies.
Hell yeah, that's pretty good. I didn't think about that. I had thought that he'd just be getting like things would be chilled out, that I'd be able to go to Celebration. That was very
yeah.
I the force was with me on that one.
Well, I had brought up Celebration to Kat, my partner, and just said, Celebration, there's some of the people in the Melbourne crew, sort of Andy Campbell and Catherine Eden, and some other people are talking about they want to go, and geez, I'd really like to go. Wouldn't that be great? It's such a shame. We've got it's okay. We've got the second baby coming, because ours is due in December, so it's a little bit even closer to then. And Kat just goes, just go. You'll be right. Grandma's down the road. Yeah, Grandma's down the road, so you'll be all fine. So, we're all coming to Celebration as well, which is going to be exciting. So,
oh my God, I thought you were coming, but then when you started that story, I thought you were going to say, because our baby's so close, I'm not going. And I began to feel so guilty for like just
I'm going to be there.
Yeah, I was like, oh, please don't let him say he can't go because of that. That is it's like my greatest fear in life is opening a car door and having a bike rider run into it.
Oh yeah, I've had a friend who was that bike.
Oh man, because it's just like, this person's done nothing wrong, and just because you're a moron and you didn't think about other people, you've just like ruined someone's maybe year, whatever. And yeah, I sort of don't stress out about it for their safety, because I've never met them before. I don't really care. But that look of when they just look at me when they're on the ground, that amount of guilt, I'm not sure how I'd be able to shed that. I'd just be like, don't look at me, I'm hideous.
Well, don't worry. You looked in the rear view, and I'd already passed you on the bike. So you absolutely.
No. I just opened the door and it just happened. Yeah.
I probably wouldn't even have brought it up if I'd just been like set you up like that and gone, and actually I can't go. Although if it had been our first baby, I don't know whether I'd be getting having the same luck. I think just because second time around you know what to expect.
That's ominous for me then.
It's I mean, I know we're talking the total baby talk. The first few weeks is pretty intense, and then once you kind of get into a groove, and you'll be, and you're in a warm climate too, which really helps. Like we had Olive in the middle of Melbourne winter, years ago, and we were just on lockdown for 3 weeks. First 3 weeks you just drink cups of tea and ferry in relatives basically, and then try to sleep when you can, and but having a warm weather, you'll be able to cruise around and get outside. It'll be you'll be fine.
It's hot. I'll be able to sweat him out.
Yeah, that's right.
Sweat some discipline into him.
I've been talking to. I brought this up with Tracy when we spoke the other day, talking about episode 9. Obviously, a lot of that, the big speculation on that is really timeline. Like, where do we pick the story up? And I think that'll have a lot to do with what the position the characters are in, depending on how long down the road we are. Do you want to see a Return the Jedi type Rey? You sort of confident in the Force, a little bit sort of, maybe flirting with the dark side. I mean, the first, when we first see Luke, he's sort of force choking people. You're not really quite sure where he's at. Do you want to see a really sort of confident and competent Jedi Rey?
Oh, wow. I haven't even thought about that. That's very interesting. Yes. The only thing is like these people that can't deal, like the Mary Suers. I just feel like they need something.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
They need her to walk in and start like tripping over stuff and bumbling around and not being able to know what she's doing. And
yeah. And my whole thing is always either all three of them are Mary Sue's or none of them are. And that's Anakin, Luke, and Rey.
Yeah.
I think whatever criteria you want to use, they either all fit or they all don't. But yeah, I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a weird one, is it? Because you don't want to mirror too close to Return of the Jedi, but you would assume that if she sort of is on that trajectory, that she would be,
Well, what about
Yeah, sorry, mate.
What about this? Will we see the first time that Luke speaks to her? If he does, like, will that be the first time he ever does, or has he been chilling for a bit?
Oh, as in as the ghost comes in, or will he even speak to Rey? Will he speak to Kylo?
Yeah, I sure hope he speaks to Rey, but because he's got to give her the new surname.
So, oh yeah, of course, that's right.
Fingers crossed.
Sky Kenobi.
Oh, how dare you? Yeah. So I think. I think that is for the best. That because what's the point of jumping in time and then having them like, do you know what I mean? You want Kylo to be more evil and you want Rey to be more good than the last movie.
Yeah, I mean the removal of Snoke and Luke from there was basically to give those two characters a chance to pretty much rise to the top, have nobody above them to sort of reach their true potential, one way or the other. So if you're not going to have the movie where they're at the top of their game, or at least trying to get to their top of the game, what's the point, really?
Yeah, and it sort of seems like that because it has to come to a boil. And I think we've had two movies with what would you say, hesitant heroes or whatever, and it's like this is it. It's the last film. All the good guys should be yes, let's be good, and all the bad guys should be yes, let's be bad, and then you get to see what happens.
Yeah, that's right.
With Finn, trying to bail, and then Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker, sort of flaking, and it'd sort of be good just to we're all in, and this is because people weren't trying to get out of anything in Return of the Jedi.
No, not at all. No, they're all in. They're ready for the last big push.
Yeah, Han Solo is getting, secret military mission assignments.
Yeah,
he's not messing about.
Yeah, that's right. People forget that Han was just as flaky as Finn was at the start of Empire. He wanted out as well, and he had he'd even hung around longer and formed longer relationships. And if you read the comics and stuff now, they go on all these kind of wacky adventures together. And then at Empire, he's like, "I'm out of here. I ran into somebody who gave me the heebie-jeebies, so I'm just leaving you all behind." So, Finn barely knew these people, so it was more understandable that he wanted out. He really just cared about making sure Rey was okay.
Yeah, I guess Han wasn't all in until he got pashed in Jabba's palace.
Yeah, it's really weird because like the comics, the Star Wars comics, like the amount of adventures they all go on together, the amount of time that Luke, Han, and Leia spend together in those that period between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, where those comics are now. It's like, man, you're going through more stuff than you have in the movies. It seems it sort of detracts a little bit from the. I mean, I tend to place them way down the level of importance as films, as I'm sure you do, but it does sort of detract from the fact that how flaky Han is and wants out, that they go through all this stuff together and then he just walks away.
Yeah, that's why I sort of don't. I'm not big on like I much rather the shorter runs of comics. I think that's like it suits. It's more true to how Star Wars like is told as a story, because like I always sort of think the movies are when the most important things happen, because that's why there's a movie about it. So, but are you still reading all the comics, Josh?
Yeah, I've stuck with them, and they've they vary up and down in quality. I think they're a little bit more consistent. I think the actual Star Wars one is probably the weakest. I think the the Darth Vader run's quite good at the moment, and even the land when they do kind of short character pieces, they seem to be more interesting. The Star Wars, oh, God, they nearly lost me a little while ago. They went to like a haunted castle, and there was like a vampire, a woman who was a vampire who wanted to suck the force out of Luke Skywalker, and it was all just a bit. It felt a bit like the old Marvel stuff. It just got a little bit too Looney Tunes for me, but
Yeah, that haunted castle does not sound good at all.
no. So if you tend to, like I tend to, like I said, place them down the pecking order. They're fun to read. I sort of just read them in my lunch break and stuff, and it's all right. I don't give them too much weight, but you know, it's. I don't think that they affect the films too much. Although it's a funny thing now because they've got I always consider the films as the end of Last Jedi is basically like the timeline, like time as it stands now. Like in Star Wars time, the end of Last Jedi is like today. It's the furthest point in time that we are. But
yeah, I get that.
But they actually have in the Poe Dameron run, they've actually jumped slightly ahead in time where they're on the Falcon talking post Battle of Crate, and Poe's regaling them with stories and things. It's just this weird thing where they actually have jumped slightly further ahead than the film.
Ooh, I'm very keen to catch up on that one. I'm very keen. But that's the thing with the Star Wars one. It's just, it can get a bit out of whack. Like, do you know what I mean? A bit aimless. But they're flipping to Empire Strikes Back soon, aren't they?
I'm not too sure. They might be. I don't know whether they're going to. I mean, they haven't even talked about sort of going to Hoth or anything yet. I don't know whether. So it just depends on where which of these significant things they want to save for other stuff. You know what I mean? Like whether they go, oh no, that's more important. Finding Hoth base is something that we want to do in a video game or a novel, or because they're basically relaying this new canon now. So it's kind of like anything of any significance. Do you want to save that for something else down the line? You've got all that 30 years between Force Awakens and Return of the Jedi that we haven't planned, that they haven't really, they've done little bits. When we're talking about Luke Skywalker before, you've got 30 years of Luke Skywalker adventures you can fill in.
Yeah, fully. Oh my God. That would be amazing. But yeah, I thought they'd announced that they were going to jump, but I don't know.
Oh, they might maybe, have.
Yeah, maybe I'm just confused with Poe Dameron or something. But I read that the Darth Vader Annual #2, because everyone was raving about it, and I agree, very good. Except in my head, I'm thinking about, there's a picture of Ben Mendelsohn that's.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, he looks like Law Santeca or something. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know what's going on there. They it's really weird because some of the artwork. The artwork is so all over the place. It's sort of, some of it is just literally a guy tracing over movie stills. And then you've kind of got ones that are halfway between where the lightness is really good. And then you've just got, it looks like somebody with their crayons and who've just sort of, and I don't like to be, I have a design background, and I don't like to be critical of other designers and artworks and things, but it's sort of, yeah, that the Krennic stuff was a bit rough. It looked a bit just sort of, yeah, a bit weird.
Yeah, sometimes in that one, like the story was so good and like all the little details are added to like the relationship of like Krennic and Darth Vader and Tarkin was like just scrumptious. But yeah, some of the art, I'm like, how does that even get released? Like, how is that good
Past
enough?
mustard, yeah. I liked how they just sort of sent Krennic to Geonosis, like the sort of the worst planet, most inhospitable planet. He's in a white outfit, walking around on a red, dusty planet every day. He must have absolutely hated it.
Poor Mendo. Poor
Poor old
Mendo.
Min. Poor old
But
Mendo.
the yeah, the way it intertwined with what was that book? Catalyst was it was pretty good.
I actually haven't read many of the novels. I sort of the comics is a lot easier for me to get into because they're short and sweet. The books sort of demand time I just don't have at the moment, unfortunately.
I'm an audiobook. I just can't. It just doesn't work out with reading the book because I can't dedicate the time to stay still. Like just I'm going to sit here on this couch and read it's very like otherwise I can do it like I can listen to the book driving or something. So
Yeah, that's right. Sitting in
or
LA traffic.
doing the dishes.
You haven't got a dishwasher?
No.
Oh, mate, get a dishwasher before you have a baby. Bottles. Oh, dude. Whew.
I can't. The apartment.
Oh, yeah, of course. You need to bite the bullet and move. Ruining fatherhood.
Yeah.
Well, move to the suburbs like I did. Leave the cool inner city and move out to the suburbs like I did. That's.
Well, where do you live now?
We bought a house in Glen Iris, so we had to leave Richmond because we ran out of space. We had the little terrace house in Richmond, which was great location wise, but it was just last winter we were just tripping over toys and clothes racks and things, and I just was just like, I just can't take this anymore. So we moved out to Glen Iris, which isn't too far out. We've got a nice big 4-bedroom house. That's why I've got a dedicated study now, because we've got this big ass house, and I've got the study set up and all my stuff on the walls, and I've actually got all the figures and stuff, and I've got your talking Yoda that's on the wall that I got in your garage sale that freaked out my daughter, so it's still sitting on the shelf. Over there, I can see him now. So she's a bit wary. She walks in, she's still a bit like, don't think I trust that Yoda. But
nor should you.
Should you. So you've been doing the pod for the Steele Wars for it must be nearly 4 years now, isn't it? Close to 4,
yeah.
3 and a bit.
I think it's a bit over 4 because we just had Comic-Con, and I'd started it. I'd started it like 4 episodes before going to Comic-Con. The first, like that time, Star Wars, it was the Star Wars Rebels year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did it? I mean, from when it started, obviously your big podcast at the time was Green Guide Letters, and I think you'd said before that that was like an audition for radio. Like no one's putting me on the radio, so I'll do my own thing, and I'll podcasting is brilliant for that and getting your name out there and doing things. But does it feel more like Steele Wars is the long-term trajectory now? Does it? It seems like you're always trying to make it bigger and better, and it just sort of onwards and upwards.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's more sort of stuff around that, that hopefully, I don't know, clicks.
I mean, it's not so much the podcast. I mean, the podcast, it's probably more you as a brand or as a person, isn't it? So much, and the podcast is sort of part of that, but it's also, you, the Steele Wars brand, and you as a person as well.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard because I've got so many different, like I don't have this like one thing that I'm like, that's the one thing like I want to get on this or want to do that or get that promotion or something.
Yeah.
There's like 8 different things, which can be part of the problem,
So is it actually where when you sort of started it and where you've ended up now? Is it kind of beyond where is it kind of where you thought it would be, or is it kind of beyond that? You know, the opportunities that have sort of come up from that now, and the connections and the contacts that you've made and stuff, or is it sort of you feel like, oh, I'm still not quite where I want this to end up?
It's like gone further than I imagined. Like it's like I live in America now. And the podcast is a big part of that, because like otherwise I sort of wouldn't have much in the way of friends. So yeah. I don't think I would have like moved otherwise. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, it definitely like overtook everything. But I should have kind of known, because it's what happens every time. I always deep dive. It's always head first or something.
Yeah, well, you know, fatherhood. You'll deep dive into fatherhood as well too before you know it, and then you can merge the two worlds pretty well actually. My daughter's only 3, but she knows her Star Wars stuff pretty well now, and I've probably been guilty of pushing it on her probably more than I should, but she doesn't really sit down and watch anything, but she knows the characters and she wants to eat off her Chewie plate, and she has her Ewok Forces of Destiny that she likes, and yeah, it's good. It's only going to kind of go on longer, I think.
Nice. The yeah, I wonder about like how you introduce stuff and like try to keep like plot points, like you know who they all are, but maybe you don't know that Darth Vader's the father and stuff. Like I don't know if it's possible to keep that stuff secret, because we've got like we had like a little baby shower last weekend, and so we've got all these like books and stuff, and they've got all these really cool, you know, like kids story books and golden books about Star Wars. It's sort of
the ones they've got the the felt. They've got the little characters in felt, and they've kind of got like boy, girl, hero.
No, I've seen that. They're really cute.
Yeah, we got those when Oliver's little. They're really good. I mean, they're good for a very specific period of time when they can, you know, they can't read, and as soon as they they grow out of them, they're just sort of shelf warmers. But
but that's the one. Is on the cover. Is it Luke's getting his hand chopped off? Is that?
There's the Star Wars one is Luke, R2 and 3PO, and then the Empire one I think is Darth Vader and Luke on Cloud City fighting, and then I think the Jedi one is Leia and Luke on the speeder bike.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're very cute. I'll send you a photo. They're very cute.
Nice. But so I was wondering as I was looking through the Golden Book and stuff, and I was trying not to look at it too much because I don't want any spoilers for when I have to read it. And yeah, I was wondering if in those books they keep some stuff secret. Like, because I noticed there was one book and it just told bits of the movie. Like it didn't tell the whole movie. It was just like, here's how Princess Leia met the Ewoks. And
The felt ones, I'm almost positive they have like, because they're just pages with one word. It's like friends, you know, heroes, but it sort of tells the plot as well. So I think in the Jedi one it has Luke and Leia on Endor, you know, up in the trees talking. I think it actually does say like sister on it and stuff as well. So I think there are some sweet spoilers in there. I'll have to double check. I'll put a spoiler warning on them. So going forward, obviously we've got this big gap now, and we've got Resistance coming out, and we've got Clone Wars coming out, and you did some really great coverage at San Diego Comic-Con with Clone Wars coming out, and sitting in a room with a bunch of excited fans and things, and I sort of jumped back. I was like, I kind of got caught up in the mania. I thought, I'll start watching a bit of Clone Wars again, and yeah, I kind of came to the conclusion that I was enjoying it, but I don't think I really want to watch it all again. I think I'll happily watch the new ones when they come out, but I don't feel a compelling need to go all the way back. I think there's just too much.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't, but content, Josh, content.
Yes.
So I think I'm going to watch it in chronological order.
Well, that's what I started doing, yeah.
And then yeah, just making a little, like maybe like watch a show a week and do something about it. But yeah, I don't think I'd do it all if
It
not.
wasn't coming back.
Yeah, not at all. Yeah, or even if I wasn't doing a podcast, I don't think I'd do it. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I kind of like thinking up reasons to make a pod. I'm constantly brainstorming podcast concepts in my head.
There's just so many more options and things. Do you think you'll do anything with Resistance, or you'll just sort of feel out, see what the tone's like, and whether you'd actually want to tune in every week?
Yeah, I guess it would have to be really kiddie, like really kiddie, if for me not to do something about it.
Like the Lego stuff sort of thing.
Yeah, I just like I'll watch it. Not that I watch the Lego stuff, but like I'd watch Resistance just because it's it's part of the story sort of thing. But like if it's like Forces of Destiny, like sort of more kiddish than that.
But yeah, I mean, Forces of Destiny is all right in sort of 3-minute blocks, but I don't think I'd want to sit through half an hour of. I mean, I think they'd never do it because they use all those primary characters so much as well. So it'd be too much canon in Forces of Destiny if it went for half an hour. It's bad enough that they kind of go, oh, this is where Leia got the bounty hunter outfit from. I was like, that didn't really drive.
Yeah, I sort of, I don't know. You just got to switch off because that one, and I really love that Bausch costume, but I just thought it was like so
flippant,
and just we need an outfit. Well, there's a bounty hunter. Like it was like they rubbed a genie lantern or something, and I just thought you could just have been a bit more. Like you could have just had another written it
have another pass.
Yeah, just to make it so it wasn't just so happenstance. Or you know what I mean? Like that they were actually looking for Bausch to get the outfit or something like that. It was just and it was sort of just like that it's it's like this 3-minute thing, so it's like, well, it's just something that I don't like. I disagree with that. Gonna keep going.
Keep plowing on. Yeah, I mean, we were talking about the other day, just sort of Star Wars is great. Sometimes it's not, but usually it's great. So
yeah, and also the other thing is, it's like they're not meant to be films are not meant to be thought about this much.
Yeah, that's right. It's only because they're so popular that they are.
Yeah, so it's just not it's so silly to let some cartoon or a 3-minute YouTube thing or whatever Resistance ends up being, it's such a small part of the whole thing that it's just this weird thing of not being able to accept anything that's not 100%, and it's sort of like a lesson. Yeah, just a lesson in life. There's concessions.
Yeah, that's right. Everybody has to make concessions and compromises in everything they do. Why should Star Wars be any different?
Yeah, it's sort of I don't know. I like In and Out. I don't like the lines.
Never had In and Out. I'll have to try. So I've been to America a few times. I've only sort of done New York, but I sort of get the feeling that going to a Star Wars convention means I'll probably end up eating a lot more junk food. So that'll probably be the chance to try all the brands.
Man. But to be honest, you'll be lucky if you can get brand name junk food. That's the problem.
It'll just be like, here's a hamburger for $12 and
yeah. It's hard. That's a good thing about San Diego is because it's the same every year. So you know where to go.
Oh, you can pick your faves kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like going to a music festival. Every time we go to Meredith or something, it's like, oh, well, we've got to go to the taco place or the tacos again, or we've got to go to the, you've got to go get your pizza and stuff like that. So it's sort of no different than that, is it really?
Yeah, I could never get the pizza. It just looked like that truck and behind that glass, it just looked like it had been there for months. And
the one there's pretty good now, but
I don't know. I think It just didn't seem like the right place for pizza.
After you've drunk sort of 12 Melbourne bitters in the sun, I kind of felt that I could pretty much eat anything. But
I was a big patron of the Tucker tent. Just the steak sandwiches and stuff.
Oh, like the community one, like your bacon and egg rolls, and yeah.
The best, just amazing. And there was something around I can't remember, maybe like there was a calamari or something on the other side that was really good.
Yeah, oh God, it's all coming back. It's all coming back. Well, thanks for coming on, mate. I really appreciate it. Like I said before, you're sort of the man who launched 1,000 podcasts. So, certainly the people who listen to your show and the communities and stuff that kind of come around it. There's certainly been more than a few podcasts born out of it now. I think you've sort of steered the way a little bit on that and been very encouraging. And it's not as if going, oh, this is my turf, everybody needs to back off. You've always been like, hey, the more the merrier. Let's get everybody on and share the love. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think I don't know. I didn't invent anything.
I'm not the mayor of Podcast Town.
Yeah, I don't know. I just as soon as I worked out how to listen to a podcast, I thought it was awesome. It just fit in with things I always liked, like zines and things that people made themselves. And one of my favorite episodes of Seinfeld is that Merv Griffin episode where he's got a fake show, and I love like Wayne's World, all that sort of stuff. So it's like
the DIY, do it yourself, figure it out and knock it out kind of thing.
Yeah, I always sort of had an appreciation of that, and it's cool now the way technology has like allowed us. It's like so easy. Like you can I can shoot a TV show, a bad TV show, but a TV show nonetheless, in my bedroom or in my lounge room. So it's crazy. But
I'm waiting for Hyper Chat, which is your call-in show on YouTube. I'm waiting for the when you have the Eric Struthers live band in the corner and the and the co-host, and you come out and do the monologue, and I hope that's what one day that's the dream, and
that would be euphoric. I actually I know you're trying to wrap up, but I saw
that's all good.
Just speak because I like David Letterman. I just adore, and I didn't even know, but on Netflix, that David Letterman, this guest needs no introduction or whatever.
Oh, you had like Obama on and a bunch of other people. Yeah.
Yeah, there was like a bonus episode with Seinfeld interviewing him in front of an audience.
Oh, really? Oh, I better go watch that.
Oh, you so better. It's amazing. Like, it was so good. It was like they talked about being parents, which was I found very. David Letterman said, I was mistaken because I thought I was just having a mini me. Like I thought it was just going to be a miniature version of me and it's someone else.
Well, sorry, you go, Matt.
And that was I was like, oh my God, that's what I'm thinking.
He's just going to come out in a t-shirt and he's like, hey, you guys, let me just do a tight five here. And
I sort of just picture like a Muppet Baby version of myself.
Yeah, well, all of my daughters is a pretty split down the middle mix of me and Kat. I think it's sort of there's always sort of bits where you go, it's more this and it's more that. But I mean, Letterman had kids quite late in life as well too. Like he's sort of an older dad. I'm a bit of an older dad. I think you'll be a little bit of an older dad as well. But
oh no, Letterman's like an like super old dad.
A super old dad. Yeah, I know. We're not that old. So, but I had friends who started having kids 10 years ago and stuff. But it doesn't really. I'm just glad that I kind of did a lot more fun stuff earlier on and was happy to slide into parenthood a little bit later on.
Yeah, it's weird. I was sort of thinking about it the other day. It's like by this age you should, I don't know, you shouldn't still be like running for the dream, but it's
hey, no, there's no problem running for the dream. We're all running for the dream, mate.
Okay.
Now, anybody who listens to this, almost anybody, I think, almost everybody, apart from, like my relatives or somebody, will probably listen to your show, but still,
Ma and Pa Chapman. Come on.
Listening in. Come on. At? I don't even know if they have listened. I am going to try and get them on. They took me to Return the Jedi when I was a kid, so there is enough content there to squeeze out, I think.
Yeah, I had my mommy on. She was into it.
I was tempted to get my 88-year-old grandmother on, but I thought that might just be a little bit
what?
Too much.
Your grandmother's 88?
Yeah. She went and saw Force Awakens.
88.
Yeah.
It's like one of the torture droids.
Oh right, yeah. My grandma 88. Yeah, and then she became.
No. It's AD8. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to.
Oh, is it? Oh, sorry.
Isn't it AD8? The torture droid.
Is it the one with the needle?
No. Like in Jabba's palace.
Oh God, I'll have to check it up.
I'm looking at
our fact checking. I'm in my fact checking team.
You can't you can't do that on a podcast, Josh. You're new to this, but you can't like go, oh, check that after the show, because you just you have to answer it, otherwise people will tweet you the answer for the next 3 weeks.
Well, yeah, AD8. That many followers. Oh right.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was like I don't know, not a pun. It's like it sounds like something that it's not. It sounds like 88, but it's AD8.
Oh yes, here it is. Man, bad bloke that droid.
Well, it was weird. They made him first, but he wasn't the star of that scene. EV99 was he was like going new acquisitions, and he didn't come out. He was like in the final 17. He's a very expensive prick of a droid.
Oh really? I don't think he's going to end up in the bargain thing at Reject Shop where I get all my figures.
Well, they haven't sold it for 30 years, Josh. So
well, you never know. There might be some old stock out the back.
Dude, I used to have dreams about that all the time, about finding always in Australian country towns. There's even when I was driving around on holiday in America, and you go those little towns, and there's boarded up shops and stuff, and it's like
what's in there?
Yeah, it's got to be they're still somewhere. They're boxed up somewhere. Do you know what I mean?
It's the crate that never made it kind of thing.
Yeah, someone closed up their toy shop and they just threw it all into store, into the back of a shed on some property. Because I remember in the 90s and the 2000s hearing about that stuff a fair bit.
Well, you had mentioned on one of your pods as well, and I had my my brother on a few months ago, and you'd mentioned about the Melbourne show with the rare Star Wars figures in the show bags, and he got one of those show bags. We talked about it, and he got the show bag with the Power of the Force with the figures with the coin on them.
Yeah.
He was a confirmation of that urban myth that these rare figures had gone to Australia to the Melbourne show because they couldn't ship them.
Oh man, what?
I don't know where the figure is now, but he was like, yeah, no, I certainly got it, and we got it was sort of that and a bunch of other late Return the Jedi things, and
yeah, because I just talking to people here in America, they would talk about even up until 90s, there'd be a bin of General Madines and stuff like that.
Yeah, I just remember
just the worst. Cloud pilot, driver and stuff. I
remember seeing, because I grew up in Leongatha, which is a country town, probably similar to size to Rosebud where you grew up. And I remember as a kid, seeing you get the junk mail for Woolworths and the thing, and they would just have a thing saying Star Wars figures, $1, just come in and take our Star Wars, and there were all those late Return the Jedi ones that they couldn't shift, and this would have been 86, 87 probably or whatever, and they just had this excess stock, and they were all they just had a photo I remember of a whole wall of them going, just please take them away from us, we can't shift them.
I remember they would sticky tape or staple two together, so they'd be back to back, and I think it was $1 or $2. But so there was two, I don't know if they were glued or sticky taped or stapled. But I remember like looking through them to find the best pair, because there was no, just someone in the warehouse had just got two figures and stapled them together. And I just remember being a little kid and looking on the fronts and backs trying to find the best pair of figures. And also in that same section of the supermarket, I remember seeing they had wrestling figures, and it was Ric Flair. And I remember thinking, like, that's a rip-off Hulk Hogan. What's going on? Like, why? Who's Ric Flair? I had no idea. He seemed, I always, it depressed me, because I didn't actually think he was anyone famous. I just thought it was I just thought it was like a bootleg. Like, it's the bootleg Hulk Hogan.
Like the knockoff Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. But that's my mandatory wrestling reference whenever I guest on another Star Wars podcast.
That's all right. We're happy to have that. Well, they're doing some humongous wrestling thing at the MCG this year.
Oh, I know. I'm spewing. I would love to go.
My Kat, my partner, is a member. She's a member of the MCC. So they get all these things like, hey, if you want tickets, you can sit in the prima. I'm like, I'm not a wrestling fan, but I would always be curious to just go for the spectacle, really. But
I'd go. Like, it's to hear 100,000 people cheer over something so silly. It's like we went to see The Rock at the other one, the Telstra Dome or whatever, 55,000, and it's pretty incredible. It's if they've got, when the people can control the crowd like that, it's something to see in front of so many people. I'd go. All
right, I'll pencil that in. All right, mate. Well, thanks again. We didn't do your plugs. Please plug away.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, if you listen to Star Wars podcasts, it sounds like you might. Check out my podcast, Steele Wars. We do like a sort of chat show, news show every 2 weeks, and also like in-depth, really hopefully fun and funny interviews with people either involved in Star Wars or are big fans of Star Wars. We had Ben Mendelsohn on, and that was really fun. So that's always a good place to start with Director Krennic from Rogue One. And if you're on Twitter, it's all social media. It's at Steele Wars, STEELE. And I'm putting tons of stuff on YouTube now. So if you want to watch interviews or watch the live chat show, you can check that out at youtube.com/Steele Wars.
So will there be any Australian-based content stuff this year? I suppose there probably won't be with Baby on the way. Or we won't be expecting anything?
No, probably maybe Comedy Festival. When we do we're going to go on our Baby tour. So
yeah, God, that's the thing. Like, you've got a blessing and a curse, because you'll have one hand, you won't have sort of relatives all over the place, where you're sort of feeling your way through this thing. But also, sometimes it's handy to have grandma pop in for a little bit when you want to have a snooze. But
these are things I have thought about, Josh.
I'll bet. All right, mate. Well, I will probably see you in person at Celebration, I think. Then we'll have a little posse of people sort of milling around and things. So I'll catch up properly with you then.
There'll be many events on. Don't worry.
Oh, I can't wait! I'm really looking forward to it. So you can follow all our stuff at StarWarsSpelledOut.com. Leave a review, be nice, all that kind of stuff, and we'll see you soon. See you later.
Cheers, Josh.
Bye.